Hey guys, Faro here with League Top 10, and today I'm going to be doing a full game commentary on Riven. Now, this is my very first game with Riven, so in the beginning I make a lot of mistakes, but as I get the hang of the character, the game starts to turn around. Now, this is a very long game. I think it totaled out to like 60 minutes or something like that, but what we're going to do here is something like the Summoner Synapses. I'm going to fast forward through the boring stuff and try and give you guys a good grasp on the laning phase, and then a focus on team fight. So this is going to be a two-part video. This first part here is going to have mostly the laning phase with a lot of action. It's not some standard high elo laning phase. I'm playing with my friends. We make mistakes, get into fights all the time. And then the next part is going to be mostly team fights. So hopefully you guys enjoy this, and keep an eye out for my Riven first impressions later in the week. Alright, so if my voice hasn't distracted you terribly, then you're going to notice that we got into a bit of a skirmish early. Seems like the other team came out on top, Tark's at full, me and my Tark are at half. So there's nice stun in the bush, he's trying to disengage the fight, but Tark's probably going to come out, stun us because there's nothing stopping him. So I'm going to exhaust Kayle, and I'm going to try and peel the Taric just so I can get him off of my friend. Now, kill comes easily, and then I get a lucky crit on Kayle, and she falls over dead just as fast. So that was simply using the combo and dropping the Taric, and then focusing the Kayle, getting a crit. Now, this Riven, I'm full offense here, and I've got a Doran's Blade, so it worked out pretty well. Now I go back, I buy boots, a longsword, I'm looking to tech into a brutalizer. So I get back to lane, and we're, constantly exchanging again. Like, we're going to be fighting pretty much the whole time. And yeah, there it is. So stun comes out, we go in, I try and focus down the Kayle. I think I missed my Q right there, and then we try and disengage immediately afterwards. We're both at 50%, their Taric's at full. It's a very bad fight for us. Overall, I'd say the lane is in their favor just because the heals from Kayle and Taric are significantly better than the shield that I have, and obviously my Taric has the same tools as their Taric. So Kayle overall, I'd say, is superior in lane to Riven in this specific matchup. So here you can see our Olaf's waiting in the bushes, getting ready to try and gank a little bit, and we start being aggressive, but the enemy CVs him, and we obviously can't do anything with that. So I'm just, continuing to try and be aggressive. They're running away because they know he's there, and now they decide to go in on us after he runs upriver. So we, try and fight back a little bit. We get some stuns off, I get my combo off, knock them back, and, they just continue to return the harass. So Jarvan comes in, and once we're dedicated to the fight, I try and stun, run away, but my Taric is getting away. I'm staying on the Kayle to try and get a kill out of the situation because there's no way both of us are getting out of that. They ignite me, I fall over, I res, I come back, running straight down the lane as fast as I can. I exhaust the Kayle, go in on her again, hit, stun. She manages to get a slow off on me. I get flag and drag, stunned, and immediately killed as soon as I come back to lane. So that was super fun. I'm going to fast forward again, come back to lane, and we are trying to go on this Taric right here. So fighting, we take him to 50, he heals back almost to full, they almost kill my Taric. I'm trying to get this Kayle, and knock back to try and disrupt her a little bit. She gets pretty low, I decide to go in, and Taric stuns me, so I turn around. Now, we're basically always going to try and fight these guys as long as Kayle's Righteous Fury is on cooldown, because there is a pretty significant cooldown on that, and as long as she has that up, we won't be able to win a fight. Now our Olaf comes in, and he gets stunned with his ult up, so I don't really know what happened there. But they started running back as soon as he walked past Dragon, which tells us that Dragon is pretty obviously warded. Now, we're all kind of just sitting here doing nothing really. And I guess Olaf he drops a ward in the tri-bush, and I guess he wants to ping dragon because they just used CV. So, you know, we head up there. Now, I remember this event pretty specifically. I remember saying how bad of an idea this was, because our brand is completely out of mana, bottom lane has enough heals so that they're in a condition to fight, and we don't know where their Jarvan is. So realistically, it's about to be a 4v3 down here, and there's their Jarvan. So Jarvan comes through, I get the last hit, or no, we got dragon. So we start running away, and 3 of us die for the 1 dragon. And that is exactly why you don't do dragon against a double healer lane without getting a kill while your mid's out of mana. And there's so many. It was such a bad decision. I really can't get over it. But you know, it's fine. We go back down here. We're just gonna fight. That's what we do. We like fighting. But realistically, we shouldn't be trying to fight these guys. You know, yeah, Kale's at 50%, but Riven doesn't really have an instant gap closer, so it's not really too awesome trying to fight a ranged as Riven. If you guys go back and look at that, that gives you an idea of how short the range on her stun is. It really is a point-blank AoE. And you see Taric CVs that Gragas. He was coming down to try and fight us. It's obvious that the enemy likes ganking us, and there's Jarvan. So we immediately start backing away. We don't want to do anything with this. It looks like they're heading down towards us to get into a fight. So I'm going to run around and I'm going to meet up with Brand. But Brand charges straight into that bush to try and fight Jarvan. Now I know Gragas is coming down, so I wait for him and I jump on him. Now here I would say I made a couple beginner mistakes. First off, I didn't open with Wind Slash. As Riven, you should pretty much always open with your ultimate if you know that you're going to be using spells on someone. Like, the increase in damage is a huge deal, and you're not really saving it for anything. So I really should just open with, I'm sorry, Blade of the Reform, not Wind Slash. Wind Slash is the activate on the ultimate. So Wind Slash, you saw me completely airball it because that was my very first time using it and I had no idea what the cast animation was like. So the cast animation is pretty heavy on Wind Slash, and you're going to see me miss that thing more than I hit it in this game. Like, it got to the point where I was so frustrated that I was missing Wind Slash so much because of the cast, I would just pretty much open with it in the middle of a team fight. I'd be in the middle of 5 people. If I could hit maybe 3 people with it, I would use it. And I feel like that's one thing that's wrong with this character, is the animation on Wind Slash is awful. Now here we get a stun. I go in, I try and follow up his stun with my stun. Still not used to the range, completely airball it, and we just walk away. So now I get stunned, and I'm probably going to die right here, like if I remember this correctly. But that Kale is just pounding my face. I get ignited, and for some reason I don't use shield until I'm about to die, which makes me a very bad Riven, like I said. First time, very, very bad with this character. So we get killed, Jarvan came down, and he's probably going to catch this Taric right here. Yep, there it is. So catches Taric, and you know, that's what, 3 ganks from their Jarvan. That's so much fun. Now we're gonna head back bottom again, obviously, because I guess I like bottom, like getting killed a lot. It's pretty cool. So we've pretty much completely thrown away any advantage we had early off of the double kill that I got. I think my score here is like 2 and 4 or 2 and 5 or so, no, 3 and 5 maybe. Whatever. It's really, really bad, and the triple kill that happened to Dragon also really, really bad for us. So I would say this game is definitely in favor of the enemy team. We haven't really seen anything happen from Maokai Riven up top. No one's killed anybody, so I'd assume they're just safely farming. Now we're gonna do a fight down here. I know we're opening on Kale pretty hard. You know, we're just trying to fight, exhaust her, keep going in, get the last hit on that Wind Slash. Should have killed her, but I guess it didn't. And now I'm going to try and run away, because this Taric is pretty much going to be able to 1v1 me. And, you know, dash through the stun, put the shield up, and now we try and fight him. I get the stun as he's running away, and the last hit with Wind Slash, or with, God, what is the name of that ability? Whatever, the Q. I'm going to call it the Q from now on because I don't remember it. So one thing that I learned later in this game, but not early, is that with the Q, if you lead your opponent with the Q instead of just target on them so that you'll hit them with it, you can actually push them back. You can use the like it's such a small knockback. You know there's really almost no use for it except for that little pushback or maybe interrupting a Katarina. It's basically a Maokai Q. That's how I would describe it. It's Maokai's Q as far as like distance and disruption effect and AoE and stuff. So that was, I mean, I definitely wouldn't have run that way. If I was Taric, I would have run straight back through the lane, and maybe I would have made it, maybe I wouldn't have, but he did a really good job there with what he had, which was, he tried to juke through bushes a bunch, and he got Gragas to blow his flash. So that should give Brand the advantage in lane. Like, if you're playing against someone who doesn't have their summoner spells up, you should win every single time. You should never lose a fight if you have summoner spells and they don't. Alright, so here, I've been taking a lot of harass from the Kayle, and it's pretty obvious that they have lane control at this point. So us trying to fight would be a very, very bad decision. And it looks like we're trying to fight right now. No, okay, so we're just trying to run away. That's super good. Like, we really do not want to fight these guys. They will probably just beat the hell out of us one-on-one. Just straight up, they will kill us a lot. And I guess what we're going to do is we're just going to try and sit on tower and farm, or we're going to walk forward a bunch for some reason and get stunned from this Taric out of the bush. And there's no Taric in the bush, so I guess we're going to try and go in on this Kayle because she's alone, and then Taric comes out, stuns me, I get slowed. I try and move in on the Kayle, we start fighting. I miss my Q right there, the knockback completely. I actually land an ultimate with the Wind Slash there, so that's super fun. And then I just, get completely murdered like we said we would. So, hopefully my Taric gets away here. Yeah, okay, so he's fine. Gragas shows up, they take bottom tower, and let's see, it's Taric and Olaf, so these two are just going to kind of sit here, and let's see, we're going to walk down here because there are 4 of us together, and we're going to go do dragon. And then 4 of them are here. There's 3 of us here. It looks like Taric is still sitting in the lane farming. I'm saving exhaust because I assume that this is just going to be a complete shutout, and they're just going to, completely stomp us. And looking at the fight, I got chased down, but all of them were really, really low. So, maybe if I would have used exhaust, that fight would have gone out, completely differently. But definitely if Taric was there, we would have won that. Like, even, just with his new ultimate, if he would have just pressed that once, that would have been like a triple kill. But, so my Maokai died up top to Riven. I'm not really sure how that happens. I would assume that the lane would be in Maokai's advantage because of his passive giving him a heal for spam casting spells. Riven being a spam caster with no sustain. But, I don't play much Maokai, so I'm not really an authority. So, Gragas, Jarvan up top. We are now deeply at a disadvantage, and they've pretty much got control of every lane because of how much time our Brand has spent with me. So I find this Kayle right here. We see Taric, Brand sitting next to the creeps. I exhaust her, she gets away. And Gragas, I guess maybe he was trying to knock me into his tower, but he ends up knocking me away, which is super fun. And so now there are 4 of us here and 3 of them here. You would assume that our Maokai would be coming middle to try and help out because, this is the part where everybody should be grouped up and having a good time. But, let's see, we land a stun on that Jarvan. We decide to go in, but suddenly, we get enemies from each bush, and it's a 4v5. We managed to get a kill on the Jarvan, but they pretty much completely tear us apart because of the number difference. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you should not AFK farm top while your lane is missing, because then your team gets completely shut out. Like, realistically, we probably could have won that fight. You know, just looking at their hit points and, you know, thinking about Maokai. Also, apparently he has Fortify. So that's super fun. I guess that kind of explains how he could die to Riven twice, because if she would, like, exhaust him and then he would just have Fortify, like, that gives her a clear advantage. But it looks like he's about to charge in here, and, you know, he does the Twisted Advance, which follows people after they flash, which puts them way out of position. But me and Olaf show up, you know, just in time to back him up, even though we had to use flash. So you see, I'm starting to get the hang of Riven. I'm using her abilities just for movement, because you can, like, totally do that. You can just constantly dash and, you know, press Q all the time. But Kayle comes in with a great ultimate on Taric, and, you know, I go chasing after Kayle Riven, which is just stupid of me and a total waste of my time. So I, you know, follow them down here, miss Wind Slash again, but we managed to pick up 1 kill, 4-0, and let's see, it looks like our Taric is just tanking that tower for a year. So we're gonna push down middle tower, assuming, you know, Gragas is back in the base because he was super low. Because, you know, you can't really push against Gragas, like, that's not possible. He's able to completely dominate creep waves from an unharassable position. So let's see, we take the tower. You know, Olaf's taking red right now, which is a little bit dangerous, but, you know, they're back in the base, and you would assume that they would come straight for the tower instead of stopping at red, you know, if they were rezzing. So now I'm gonna go bottom, because I think we've still got the tower up down there, the outermost tower, and really you should be pressuring outer towers as much as possible. So it's me and Taric, buddy system, you know, we're pushing bottom. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of people missing. There's probably maybe 2 or 3 coming down here, and yeah, there's Kayle and Taric. So we could probably get stomped in a fight again if we try and fight these guys, but we've got Brand behind us, so we know we can get into this. And then Jarvan comes out again because he likes bottom lane so much. So we keep fighting. You know, we're just basically just a bar fight, and then Gragas shows up and fight goes completely in their favor, because Maokai is still top and Olaf was mid when we were trying to push bottom. So we are now completely at a disadvantage. The enemy team has total control over pretty much the entire map, and our Maokai is free farming, which I guess is a good thing. Like, I've never been like, man, that Maokai is so stacked, we gotta be worried about it. But, you know, we'll see how this works out. So we res, they're completely reaming bottom tower. Maybe we're gonna follow them. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna try and chase after them a little bit. So one thing I want to say about Riven is that I really like her AD ratios, and, you know, I say that because they are super good.